Hi, I'm reading the English version of Färjan, The Ferry, by me, Thomas Berglund. We are on the fifth episode. Then, before I was going to Piteå, I went to Willys and bought mulled wine, gingerbread, and a box of chocolates. There I ran into my mother's acquaintance, Birgit, who made it clear to me how much money my mother had wasted, and she may have, but I think it's a bit much to hear it for coming from Birgit. After all, she is not that close a relative in a way, but still, I listen and I hear. And I called my mother and said exactly what Birgit had said. And then I asked a little about where the money that came from the car had gone, 40,000 Swedish kronors, and how much was left. It has been so incredibly important for Sofia to know why I backed out the last time I visited her. Why? She has been slapping me with that question, and I saw darkness. I didn't see light. Um, that's a reason for me. We were on the verge of kissing. There was a kiss hanging in the air, uh, and I didn't take it. I didn't see a suitable way forward. I saw the alternative of backing out. If I had taken that kiss, I would have gone even further. Maybe she wanted to know why I would not kiss, and for me there was no good continuation if we had kissed each other. What does she want now? What does she want to know? As I said, I had a date before Christmas 2022, and she's stalking me in a way. She accuses me of being deceived, of backing too quick-witted and all sorts. What I did was go out and see her on the Wednesday before Christmas Eve, and once I got there, we held hands and we held each other. But I saw that kiss coming, that special kiss that makes you want to go deeper, that opens so many doors. But I didn't want it. I didn't feel it was right. I didn't feel mature. So I stayed there. I went numb. I froze. I said I wanted to go home, and I did. And I tried to be honest, and I said I believed in a minimum of contact. She wanted more. She wanted to do more, go further. On Christmas Eve, a really nice photo and the letter appeared. I only replied briefly, and then a complaining letter came. And now I don't know how many complaining letters there have been, two or three. I've turned around too quickly. She feels cheated. She never believed anything like this about me, etc., etc. I don't know what I promised. It's more than I deliver anyway. Tonight, Wednesday, December 28th, I'm offering her to talk to me on the phone. I think it might help her to backtrack in some way. I'd like to explain that we had something nice, but that we now have put that behind us. How afraid I am of angry women, sad women, women who haven't gotten things the way they wanted, the way they thought, the way they intended. You take the smallest step into the game and then you're stuck. You're a robber if you don't keep dancing. If you don't keep taking a step in and forward, you can never say stop because then you're evil. I stopped at a kiss, or not at a kiss. I never kissed. We held each other's hands, and it was sweet as sugar. I could have held hands for a long time, all evening and all night. The hands opened an enchanted window. We could have looked out through it for as long as I wanted. We stood there and just watched. Now one held now one held the other's hand, and now the other held the other's hand, encircled and cherished, warm and soft. The hands were as if they were made to hold each other. But there was a limit to the kiss. There was never a kiss. There would not be a kiss, and what a life, not even a kiss. What I have turned too fast, what I have deceived, and what I have honked at Sophia. How much I dislike her in reality. There must be something wrong with her in the true sense of the word. I have really expressed myself badly, strange, misleading. I have behaved strangely, hastily, unplanned, in a way you could not expect. She is disappointed and sad, feels abandoned and offended. She had thought something else than it turned out, misled. Hard to understand what has been really happening. Hard to understand why things have happened the way they have. Everything is shrouded in mystery. I'm lying alone at home, warm under the thin blanket. Outside it's snowing and it's windy. It's now New Year's Eve, the last day of the year. Here in the apartment it's warm and nice. Sophia wanted me to explain why I didn't want to go on with her, and I took her on a journey into my visions and views. I saw darkness coming. It wasn't good, but she liked that version better than if I had written that she was too round. I think I'm round, but I didn't see any light for the two of us. That was the whole point. But it was like she was breathing out. I don't really understand. I'm not pretty, I'm quite curvy, but I think I know I can look good when I'm slimmer. I don't know about Sophia. She's a cute girl, but she is not someone who turns me on right now. That part isn't there. Unfortunately, that's what she's looking for and digging for. She really wants me to admit that it's like that. Why it is that, I don't know. If she had turned me on completely, we probably never would have had this problem. Then I would have tried kissing, and I would have wanted to continue with her, and maybe she would have wanted to continue with me. But now I didn't. I pulled myself together and got into the car and drove home. Since then, I haven't pushed for our contact. It has been her who has pushed for our relationship. I have explained that I don't want to go any further or deeper, that I have believed in a minimum of contact between us as people, not to drag out the separation. Why I believe that, I don't know for sure. I probably feel that a slow goodbye can do more harm than a faster one, but I'm not sure. I think somewhere that the faster you clear the other person's system, the faster you will be free to do something completely different. But it shouldn't hurt as much as it should. That's clear. I thought about whether and how I should write this about Sophia. It's very rare that I actually come across any girl or woman in real life. It was Sophia who reached out to me via social media. We made contact that we haven't had since I turned 20. Sophia and her friend were actually there the day where we celebrated my birthday. I remember the cake very clearly, and the furniture that we had bought um, for my first apartment. It was like life had just started to open up, like a beautiful flower that blossoms for the first time. It was me. There I was, and it was a part of me. Now I'm almost 50 years old. I haven't talked to Johannes much about Sophia. We haven't talked about girls much. I know that Johannes has some girls as friends. I know of two that I also know, but they just seem to be friends. It doesn't seem like they have any romantic relationship. I don't know about if Johannes is naive or just open. What I realized is that Johannes is almost too much on and gets into a bit too often, get in touch a bit too often. I ask him, please call every day, third day instead of every day. It's like there's so much energy in Johannes. The energy just rumbles on. What should we do now? What should we do now? Sofia lived in a house that she rented. She told me that she paid the owner 10,000 Swedish kronor per month, probably excluding electricity. And that may not be a terrible amount of money for an entire house, but the owner is of course happy. The owner was probably a lot of vacations abroad. If the house is paid for 10,000 Swedish kronor is not bad. When I rented the house before I moved into the city, I paid 2,500 Swedish kronor plus electricity. It's a bit of a difference. It was outside on the countryside. Sofia lives centrally, but she doesn't have much money. Now I heard that Sofia was moving. New chapter, the family. By family, I mean my family on my biological mom's and dad's side. I don't really keep in touch with my foster parents' family. I have a foster sister, Elsa, uh, who is 4 years older than me, and a foster brother, Olle, who is 1 year younger. But we have lost touch over the years. I no longer feel any special commitment from my own side towards them. There was a time when I considered us brothers and sisters, but that was a long time ago now. It could be 10, 15 years since we let go of each other. What I do know is that they kept in touch, but that didn't affect me. There was no proper place for me. There was no one who wanted to keep me in my foster family. I don't really know why. It was like that. A lack of energy. I didn't give the energy they wanted to keep me by their side. There wasn't enough gold for everyone. They had to shave off some, and that was me. They wanted a healthy and beautiful family, and I bought too much illness and bad vibrations. Don't I cry? Of course I do. I would have loved to sit down at a table with the others, but there was no room. There was no room. Then I had the tricky part here. I have a biological family that is alive and thriving. It may be alive more than it thrives, but it is there, and in their eyes I mean something. I am a part of the whole, and it is fantastic to have that feeling, to be involved from the inside out. My mother only had me, and her oldest sister has 3 children, Tom, David, and Matthias. They are my cousins. Then my mother has a younger sister and an older brother. Sometimes people jokingly said the fat family about our family, and we are quite fat. Although my mother has lost a lot of weight in recent years, and my youngest aunt has also become thinner. There are some days between Tom and me. He was born on April the 7th and I on the 17th. The year was 1974. Then it took about 4 years for my two cousins came, David and Matthias, to see the light of day. Since then we have been related, whether we wanted it or not. Even though I have been a foster child, we have continued to meet, and 1 or 2 weeks a year I have been visited Gransel, a small village outside Vidsel. Gransel belongs to the municipality of Älvsbyn. I usually pretend that I have come to an enchanted land. And it really is an enchanted land. You live close to nature in a way, with cars, scooters, and mopeds, real wood burning heat, pistols and revolvers. It's a bit of special road to Gransel. You pass a place where the mountain emerges from the landscape. I think it looks like you're in Italy, or maybe more in a Norwegian way. The cliff comes out and the road hugs the cliff. Maybe they say it's called Clinton at Stenkilsträsket. I'm not sure, but it's beautiful. I've been probably never encountered one right here and then, but the road is a bit wider right there. Theoretically, a boulder could fall from the cliff wall or a lump of ice, but I've never been involved in and heard any accidents there at Clinton. You can see the green color of the ice that hangs down from the cliff wall in the winter time. As it is right now, my relationship with my oldest cousin Tom is largely unchanged, while I'm slipping a little in my relations with the twins David and Matthias. But that's how it's for most people, that relationships come and go. They develop over time and maybe get complicated. Frankly, I think cousin David can be a little bit too boastful, that he emphasizes himself in a way that I don't think he needs to. At the same time, Matthias has gone and met the love of his life and kind of disappeared into his new life. Everything was probably easier when there was no one. It was a straighter bananas, or how to put it. At the same time, cousin David has every reason to be proud of himself. He does so many good things in life. There are some things that he really shouldn't have to do. David thinks a lot about the people around him and he wants them to be well. However, I don't understand how David manages to do everything. For many years he has run his own business and his brother as an employee in the company. Then he has worked full-time at the workplace in the city. He usually buys pre-chopped firewood, but he stacks it in different piles, and then he uses the wood to make fire. His house will last an usually long time, even if there was a crisis in society. David can run the house with an electric generator. Repairing the car at cousin Tom's, that this is not exactly fun. I have made myself dependent on cousin Tom when it comes to repairs to my car, all types of repairs. You could say that I can do an awful lot on my own. This morning I managed to drive away from home with the engine heater cable hanging from the electric outlet. I didn't notice anything until I got to the health center. Now at least the connector in the car is loose. There could be something else that is broken. Possibly the plastic at the front. At the bottom, it made a real noise. There is almost always something when it comes to a car this old. There are 3 glow plugs that are broken, 3 out of 5. Uncle Hasse calls long calls. The economy doesn't allow to visit Skåne. It's certainly tragic that I live so frugally that I can't afford to go down to Skåne, or rather that I waste so much money that I can't afford to go to Skåne. Because I should be able to save. I still have a few kronors every month extra. If I only could put aside a penny. That it should be so difficult. I think I belong to the group of people who have so little that it's difficult to save uh, from what comes in. If only I had less, I would have probably adapted to it. I called Uncle Hasse, and he could and wanted to talk. A lot of it is actually a monologue. He talks and talks about himself and his life and his brother Anton, who he has lost faith in. There are many emotions and lot of empathy in what Hasse tells. Some of the stories are new and some I have heard before. It's fun with both type of stories. New is always new and old kind itches your back. Itch a little here and itch a little there. Oh yes, right there. It was just the right place. Today there were many memories from the past, as well as a lot of sports and memories from the century.